Hello everyone, it's Mr. Game Wednesday and I am your host Paradox Witch, and we are playing through one of my favorite games, Togainu No Chi, which means Blood of the Reprimanded Dog or just the Reprimanded Dog. It is a Yao themed game, so if you're not into that, you may want to just skip this video and keep watching my Final Fantasy playthrough or my Sims 3 playthrough. But the premise of the game is Japan is split into East and West Japan after World War III, and things are way different from the Japan that we know and love. There's a lot of political corruption, violence, and the country is having to deal with its effects of using child soldiers, plus having to reconstruct society. So we're just gonna jump right in since we were supposed to start this series last week, so let's go. And as we go along, I will explain in depth for those of you who have never played the game or seen the TV show what's going on. It was made into a TV show, and I have seen that there is a manga book, but I've never been able to actually get my hands on it. The copy of the video game that I'm actually playing right now, as far as I know, there's no English version of the game, so this is a fan translated game. So the text, it is going to at times get a little weird, and I'm going to have to scroll into full screen mode, and I apologize for that now, but it's the only way that I can read the whole entire text, because it's pretty much a text-based game. So a lot of your answers, the way you answer, is going to determine which ending you get, and there are a lot of endings. I promise you we're going to play through everybody's ending, because for me, I've never been able to get to the Shiki ending, so I do want to at least get to that. But this, like I was saying before, if you can get past the fact that it's a Yao themed game, it is really good, and it does, I guess what I want to say is, if you can wrap your mind about it, it has things that it's a thought-provoking game, is I guess the best way to phrase it. It is like, it makes you question, you know, what would you do to clear your name? What would all these different things, like what would you do in order to survive? You see that flash of light? It makes me think that maybe a third, well, yeah, it would be what, a third nuclear bomb was exploded over Japan. So see, they're explaining that we're now, you know, after World War III. It happens sometime in 2000 XX, which that's usually how video games do things when they don't want to put, like, you know, an actual date. But you see how the text here is kind of weird. I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna have to do this a lot so that I can see the whole screen. So basically, by this line, what they're saying is that children, they were taken from their families at a very early age and taught to be killing machines for the military. But basically, before the war ends, a lot of the kids never get to go into battle. So they've got some of them that did go into battle, they have PTSD. Others, they have PTSD because they never got to go into battle, and their whole entire lives they were told that the most honorable death that you can have is to die for one's country. So what the kids do as an outlet for their aggression, they hold like back alley fights to, you know, relieve all that, you know, extra pressure. But they say that it's mostly male children who were sent into war, but they never explain what happened to the females. Like, were they put in separate bunkers for their own safety? But like, I don't know, there's like, I'm hoping that in the game, because I've never played it through beginning to end, that is explained, because for one reason or another they did not get into it in the parts of the manga that I was able to read, nor did they go into it in the actual anime. But the anime, I'll post a link to it in the description. If you're watching this on Twitch, it will be in the Twitch description. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, I will put it in the description on below. But you know, if you want to watch the anime, it's really good. It follows Kisuke's path, which, here's the thing, I'm not a big fan of Kisuke. It's not going to be a secret that I don't like him. I think in terms of anime characters and everything, like, he's by far the weakest, and in terms of video game characters, like, he's more of a hindrance than he is a asset when we're fighting. But it is good. The game has really good music. They tried to translate that over into the anime, and I think that the anime actually has pretty decent music. The fight scenes are good. Like, there's a lot that I do like about this game. So basically, Japan, you have the capital, the old lands, and you have the reconstruction area and everything. And whoever this is speaking, I personally, for me, I always thought that it was the premier speaking. This is his view of, you know, how he took the war. Like, I guess you would say he's the narrator. So whoever this is speaking is saying that the end of the war, the reconstruction, it should have cleared the way for a better future. But like I said, the country is dealing with the effects of war. Like, you don't bounce back from that overnight. So I'm thinking that World War III, it goes on for at least 3 years that we know of, maybe 5. Yeah, so the people who were not soldiers, they're confused by the ideology of, you know, just being peaceful and keeping to yourselves and everything. Like, they can't comprehend it. The children can't comprehend the war is over. Like, what are they supposed to do with their lives? And I'm sorry, like, it's spring, it's almost springtime. It's been cold. The weather's been wonky here in the south. So yeah, like, I've been coughing a lot. Like, are you guys like having to deal with like the seasons, not knowing what the heck is going on? And you've got one week it's almost 80 degrees and you've got pollen out, and then the next week it's down to like 20s, and that's what I'm suffering with now, and it's causing me to cough a little bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apologize now. I've got immune boosters and everything, but it's not helping. Yeah, so there are 2 leaders, but they're hesitating to rebuild their individual areas because they're thinking that, you know, the war could start up again. Or at least that's my interpretation, that, you know, they don't want to. But it is what it is. Yeah, so basically, here, I'm just gonna say this is the premiere talking. It may not be, and you guys can, those of you who have seen the anime and played the game, like, do you think it's the Premiere Nicole that is speaking, or who do you think? Is it just like a general narrator, I guess is what I want to say. But yeah, like, they each want to govern their areas in different ways, but they just don't want to risk, you know, them saying like, you know what, the way you're ruling your area is wrong, and the way that you're ruling yours is right. Like they're at odds. But what? Yeah, but see, it's good music. I'll let you listen. But yeah, the whole thing that we're gonna try to get through is I want to play through the game in order to unlock Shiki's ending, because Shiki, he's complicated. I know that he's the villain, but he's a complicated villain. Akira, which you see here in the, kind of like the gold, just right here, that's Akira. He's very complicated in the fact that he's got an apathetic personality, where he only does the bare, until the events of the game, he does only the bare minimum to keep himself alive. He fights and blocks, but he only takes the bare minimum of prize money just to pay for like groceries. And I'm assuming since he was one of the child soldiers that he at least gets to live like, you know, in a small, even though it's a big, small, cramped apartment and everything, he gets to live there rent free. Okay, and we're back into the game again. But yeah, he's very apathetic. He's very philosophical, where he thinks about life and death, and he even says to himself that he has no intention of dying. If it ever got to the point in his life where he could no longer afford and support himself, that he would take a regular job like his friend Kisuke. Which, that's the thing, because Kisuke, he was raised to be a soldier, but he's too soft. That's what I guess I'm trying to say, as you'll see for those of you who haven't played or watched the show. And he keeps a day job where, in the anime it says, I think, and you guys can correct me, like I said, if I'm wrong, he wears a pair of overalls. In the anime it says that they're stained with concrete dust, I believe. In the game it says that they're stained with black, they're black stains on them, alluding to the fact that he may have like a job like working on like equipment used for reconstruction. But either way, he has some sort of job that's in the construction area. Yeah, Akira, he finds death a beautiful thing, that when soldiers, when they die, they pretty much, so they only, like, they appear to be sleeping. Like, it's a very peaceful end to him. Yeah, he says that the body just falls into an eternal sleep. Yeah, okay, so Akira, because he does have an apathetic, indifferent personality, he doesn't have any real attachments to life. He only does the bare minimum to keep himself alive and, you know, to keep, you know, a small amount of money in his pocket. He's been approached by mafia. He's been approached by, like, big name companies, because he is a undefeated fighter, to either become personal security or to endorse their products, but he never does so. Yeah, he says that he's completely, he'll only do the very, before the well, after this particular fight, he's okay with, you know, not waking up the next morning, but after a lot of stuff happens to him, he eventually does almost do anything to keep himself alive, I guess. But yeah, he's got friends and everything, but he's kind of like Cloud at the end of, well, the beginning of Advent Children, where he has friends and he has like stuff, but he doesn't do anything to push them away, but he doesn't do anything to keep them close. But his friends are they're used to Akira's personality, so they stick to him and they explain things to him. Because he's not sheltered in the sense of that he's never been out in the real world. He's sheltered in the fact that because he doesn't pay attention to the world around him, because to him it has nothing to do with him, so why should he get involved? So sometimes they have to explain to him like different groups and everything. Yeah, so this is what he thinks about life and death while he's basically taking part in I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Like, is it Blaster or Blaster fights? So that's Akira right there. That is our character from now to the end of the game. Now this scene, I don't know why they changed it in the anime. In the anime, it happens in broad daylight. It's said that Kisuke's there, but in fact, Kisuke, he's not. As you're about to see, Kisuke isn't there. The conversation between Ace and D, it never happens. And the weirdest thing, I don't know what it is, like, maybe it's because, like, the guy, he looks like he's older than Akira, but they made the guy that Akira's fighting, they gave him hair, and they made him about the same age as Akira. And I don't know, I don't get why they would change that. Like, that just seems really weird. So yeah, these are the blaster fights. Basically, Akira, he's saying that the guy, he was way larger than him and should have been easily able to win on brute strength, but he's not. Like, the guy was not a skilled fighter. Yeah, so basically it's a one hit, it was a one hit knockout. Who's I remember there was a boxing match. It might have been like in the early 2000s or like the late 90s, where people, they paid for a pay-per-view fight that only lasted like one freaking hit, like maybe like 10 seconds at the most. I want to say it was Mike Tyson versus somebody. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Yeah, so he hates like being touched and congratulated after his fights. But this is what the kids do. Like, this is their outlet. So basically, after the fights, what happens is Akira, he the after the fights, the kids, they usually go into the back alleys. They drink. They just, they hang out with other fighters, talking about the ones that are retired. They talk about their past wins and everything. And we're gonna meet two of Akira's friends coming up after this. But Akira, he doesn't go back there to socialize or to drink or to do anything. He just goes back there to try to calm his nerves before, I guess, heading home. But for some reason, this particular fight, it's not giving him that satisfied feeling in his brain of, okay, I just beat my opponent. Like I should feel something. He's still very much so has a lot of adrenaline flowing through his system, is I guess what I'm trying to explain. So yeah, like now that the war is over, like there's not the smoke in the air, there's not, the cloudy nights, and you can actually see the moon. So Akira, he in his own way, he enjoys just sitting on the curb and looking up at the moon and just just contemplating different things. Which my husband's a little bit like that. He like, on there's a night that there's a full moon, especially in the summertime. We'll go and we'll just sit on the steps and everything, and I don't drink, but he does, so he'll get like a glass of wine or maybe some sake, and he'll just sit there and look at the moon, and we just have like a night. That's just the equivalent of our night out, because we don't party, even though we're like in our mid 30s and everything. We don't go out and party. We don't particularly go out to movies a lot. Like every now and then we will go out to a movie, but now that we have the rabbit and everything, there have been some people like live streaming, like, movies that are still in the theater. I remember, what was it, like last week, the two of us, we stayed in, got a big bucket of popcorn, and just sat there and watched Logan and everything. And I know a lot of people, like the movie. Personally, I did not particularly like the movie, but I really don't like any X-Men movie. That's the thing. Like they all just, I don't know, like they're just so convoluted. Okay. So he's just saying that the ones that hang out in the back alley, they look like delinquents. A lot of them are delinquents. Like to get the rush into their brain, they rob, they steal, they do a lot of like, bad stuff. So everything's still grimy and yucky looking. Yeah, see, he's saying that he didn't break a sweat, so he's not really feeling satisfied. Yeah, he participates just for the money to keep himself alive, but he doesn't, even though he's undefeated, he doesn't do anything for the fame. Okay, how did I miss that in my first playthrough? So yeah, I guess the women, they were put in their own bunkers together and not put in with everybody else. So this is Akira explaining that about how the children were taken away from their parents. Basically, what happened was, you know, at a very early age, they're separated from their parents. They're giving a military education. War ends, they are sent back, but some of the people, the biological parents have died, so they can't go back to those families. But they place some of the kids with foster parents. Other kids, they go back to their biological families, but they can't because they haven't seen each other in maybe 5 years, I want to say. Let's just go with the 5 year mark. They can't relate to each other. The ones that are placed with foster parents, there's a lot of abuse that goes on. The kids, they run away. It's just they were taught to kill. They weren't taught to love. And so Akira, like I said, he's one of those kids. Even though he went to a relatively good family, he couldn't, because he was trained to be a soldier. And I'll explain, there's something else about Akira. Those of you who have seen the TV show or played the game, please don't give it away. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good way to say this. His family, the family that he went to, a foster family, and that family treated him with the most absolute kindness, but he could not adjust to the loving family environment. But he was never aggressive towards them. It's just that he just kind of wanted to be on his own. So that's the reason he leaves home. But he will say that he met a kid right after the war that was having an argument with his foster mom, and the kid was covered in bruises. Yeah, he says that, they were forced to create families, and it didn't work, no matter how badly the government wanted it to happen. Yeah, so he's just saying that the way the government did it, it was pretty much so doomed from the start. And the thing is, this that Akira is explaining, we're playing the Arbito path. So Arbito, he will go into it a little bit further and everything. And so you get, I guess, with every different playthrough, like depending on which pathway you decide that you're going to take, you get a little bit more of the story. And then once you play through everybody's playthrough plus the normal ending, you've got a full view of what really happened during the war. So yeah, the government knows that the kids are hosting these fights, and for the most part, like I said, they look the other way because in some way they realize that these kids have to have an outlet for their aggression. But as long as they don't kill and it's just, bare knuckle boxing, they look the other way. But that way of thinking is going to get our character into a lot of trouble. Yeah, so Akira, he's thinking that, it must be this great thing to give your life for your country, to drive yourself towards death, but while at the same time drive another person towards death. Like what happens when you get to that point? But he never goes so far as to turn into a savage like some people who have participated in Bloster. Yeah, so the new government is now called the CFC. Yeah, so he pretty much so says that he, like, I guess he's saying that because of the way he was brought up, he was starved for affection and attention. So this is Ace, and the next guy who's getting ready to walk in is D.
Yeah.
And at least to me, does it not sound like D sounds like Luigi? But you may not, from just looking at these two guys, they are actually very, very skilled fighters, and they either used to be blaster fighters or they still are blaster fighters. But this guy, he's the very much so definition of a delinquent. So what they do is they're Akira's friends, even though Akira would probably never call him his friends and everything, but like they consider Akira their friend, and after, you know, battles, they'll grab alcohol and they'll come and they'll sit with Akira on the curb. Now in the anime, it's like I said, it's broad daylight. These two, they don't actually say anything other than like go Akira, but they don't actually have this conversation, never takes place. They put Kisuke in place of, and he has a conversation with Akira. But as far as this game, yeah, we don't meet Kisuke till much later.
しかも一発系よ。あんたほんと強えよな、まったく。
見たかったね。エースのせいで間に合わなかったけどよ。
That just sounds like Luigi. Luigi. I can't do a really good Luigi impression, but hey. So Akira, he doesn't actually drink. So these guys, they get drunk and they just basically act like goofballs in front of them.
なんだよ、もう祝いがいねえな。こいつはな、ちょっとやそっとじゃ手に入らねえレアモンのビールちゃんよ。
Yeah, so now that the war has ended, things like beer, they're a rare luxury that when you can get your hands on it, it's usually very, very expensive.
高いんだぜこれ。アキラが勝ったっつうから行きつけんとこ頼み込んで出してもらったわけよ。
つったってアキラ飲まねえんじゃなかったっけか。
いいわ。こういうの気持ちが肝心だっつうだろ。アキラの勝利のために奮発したっつう俺様の友達思いの心だな。
Yeah, so they'll splurge when they know that Akira is going to fight.
ラストに乾杯。
So the different fighting areas of Blaster are divided into names. There's an area Ghost, there's an area Ray, where we live, and some of the fighters, they have aliases that they use, and Akira's alias is lost, and nobody knows how he got that name, and it's never, as far as I know, it's never explained how he came to have that alias, because he didn't come up with it for himself.
人の話聞けよ。話し終わってからやれってんだよバカ。何勝手に乾杯してんだよ。
なけんだもん、飽きた。ほら早く乾杯しろよ。
Seriously.
じゃあまあ気を取り直してロストの勝利に乾杯。
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where you get a nickname and nobody knows where or how you got your nickname, but they just, slowly start calling you by that name. Well, a couple sips and he's already drunk.
今回のは見れなかったけど、相手って結構な肉だるまだったんだろ。どうせまた顔色の一つも変えずサクッと倒しちゃったんだろうな。
Yeah, so basically by the time they got their beer and got to the fight, it was pretty much so over. So here's the thing that you want to remember, that he's the undefeated champion of Area Ray. Yeah, so now he's starting to get bored with Bloster fights. Like before he was enthusiastic and he got a huge rush from it, but now he's become immune to it, I guess. I'm trying to think of the right word. Like he's used to it. Like it doesn't hold the same excitement. Yeah, Akira, like, that's the thing about him. He doesn't have any grand dreams about getting endorsements or going to work with, some of the mafia types who, are running the reconstruction efforts.
なんだっけかな、ほら、なんか結構有名なでっかいとこ。
本堂グループ？
あ、そうそう、それそれ。せっかくのお誘いをよ。
Yeah, so basically, yeah, the Honda group, they've approached Akira about becoming private security. Oh, let's go back up. So yeah, that's because of that line that he only needs to earn enough to pay for food. It makes me think that he at least gets minimum housing for free because he was a child soldier. So yeah, sometimes, recruiters for pro sports, they'll come and talk to the fighters and everything, but Akira, yeah, still no interest. Yeah, I love that he says that the guy, he makes no effort to hide that he's mafia and that the guy, he was gaudy and he was nouveau riche, which is kind of like, it's like kind of like an insult. It's like how people used to say, oh, they come from new money, like, and they will like prefer to hang out with old money. Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether Akira speaks or not. They'll amuse themselves.
俺たちで組んで優勝狙っちゃおっか。最強サンバカギ兄弟とかってチーム名にしてさ。
See, this line right here, the ultimate dumbass brothers. Remember when I said that it sounds like D sounds like he has Luigi's voice? I took this as like a reference to the Super Mario Brothers, the Super Dumbass Brothers. It's just fun. Like for some reason that line, it always makes me laugh.
ネタチームかよ。
So yeah, Ace and D are gonna start telling Akira about Pesca Corsica. That they're a team, they're a fighting team that they're pretty much so brutes and they have no qualms about doing really just awful shitty things.
最強っつえばさ、ペスカコシカみてえになってみてえよな、いっぺん。あ？
え？うっそ。アキラまさかペスカコしか知らねえの？ガキでも知ってるぜ、多分。
Still Luigi.
ありえねえ、超ありえねえ、ブラスターのチャンピオンが。さすがだぜ、仙人みたい。
So basically, he's calling Akira an airhead because he doesn't know about the famous Pesca Corsica. But then again, Akira, he doesn't. The impression that I got out of him is that if it has nothing to do with him, he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care to complicate his life. But yeah, like that's the thing. If there's stuff that Akira doesn't know, these two will tell him. Well, they'll explain it to him. And I took that as more of like a little brother, older brother things where Ace and D are older than Akira, so they're kind of like, you know, they teach him stuff. It might not be good stuff.
ペスカコシカってのはな、通称コート率いるちょっと前に一世を風靡したエリアゴースト出身のチームや。
Yeah, so the guy who runs Pesca Corsica, he's an area ghost, and his name is Coat, and he's kind of like Akira. He was undefeated, and then he formed this fighting team.
そらもう今のアキラみたく連戦連勝負け知らずでさ、向かうところ敵なし。そう最強チーム。
まあ凶悪の凶を取って最強とも呼ばれてたけどな。
悪名高いことでも有名だったからな。めちゃくちゃひでえこととか平気でやってたもんな。
I took this as that particular group. They have no problems with murder, robbing, stealing. If it's illegal, they'll pretty much so do anything.
そういう凶悪なことをいっぺんやってみたいと。
So D, he basically wants, because the way I took it as he's like Akira. He no longer got a thrill from participating in Bloster, so he's trying to get that adrenaline rush by doing maybe something like some of the sick things that Pesca Corsica does.
Huh? 誰もんなこと言ってねえだろ。そんぐらい強くなってみてっつってんだよこのタコ。
So basically, they just basically start fighting with each other. It's not like serious fighting. It's like siblings, like fighting. You know, like when you roll on the floor and you pull each other's hair and stuff like that. But still, Akira doesn't really stop them. But a lot of people they stop and look at the scene, and that's the only time that Akira steps in.
警察と勇敢に戦った俺の武勇伝を聞かなかったのかお前は。お前こそな、その薄気味悪いロン毛とっとと切りやがれってんだ。
Yeah, so Ace, he's got an injured leg, and he says that it's from fighting the cops. But the true reason is the reason why he was fighting the cops is because he stole a woman's purse.
だってバイクでひったくりやったとこ見つかって追っかけられて事故っただけじゃねえかよ。どこら辺をどうすれば武勇になるんだよ。
Okay, hold on for one teeny tiny second. I swear, I really do need to get a new headset, because this one, after you wear it for like 30 minutes, I don't know, maybe it's me, it makes my ear like all itchy and I don't like it.
おいアキラ、なんとか言ってやれよこいつにさ。一番バカなのはエースだよな。
So, here's the funny thing. Because Akira rarely speaks, when he does, it shocks people.
安心しろよ。似た者同士だから。
I took this as Akira, he's foreshadowing that something is coming his way, that he may not be able to see the moon the way it is right now. Uh-oh. So this is Akira's lovely home. It's like I said, he's very much so a minimalist. I don't know. Have any of you out there ever played? Well, not played, but watched the movie I Know Kubasi? It kind of reminds me of the shelters that they have in the slums. Like, it's just a very bare minimum of everything.
Oi, 起きろ!
Okay, I wouldn't like that either. I mean, here's the thing. For those of you who aren't married or you don't have like a girlfriend or boyfriend and everything, like when you share a bed with someone and they're moving around and everything, cause I'm kind of wiggly when I'm in bed and everything, like where I want to sleep in the center of the bed, I want to sleep on the edge of the bed, and my husband comments on it like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a wiggly." But this was, I mean, I wouldn't blame Akira if he hauled off and punched one of the police officers from someone waking them up, because when my husband gets up to go to the bathroom, or, you know, when he gets up in the morning, because he usually gets up before I do, to, you know, either go to the gym or to go running, yeah, like that simple act of getting out of bed is, oh good grief, I want to grab him and be like, knock it off. So apparently, in the future, after World War III, police officers dress like Steve Jobs.
Namaiki na me da na. Nanka monku de mo anno ka? Issho ni kite morau zo.
なんでだよ。
お前に殺人の容疑がかかってる。
So, in the anime, here they never say who Akira murdered. But in the anime, they said that the guy, remember at the beginning, the guy that we were fighting, they say that Akira murdered him. And I think Akira has already said it, that murder is one of the most serious offenses that you can't really defend yourself against. But yeah, because, like, you know, the government is still so shoddy, you have, you know, two halves of the same country ruling in a different way. But even though Akira lives in the quote-unquote more civilized side, that you still have false arrests, you have corruption not only by government officials but also by police officers, where they pin murders on people just because maybe they don't want to investigate, or hey, you're walking by this area, so, and you're a blaster fighter, so you know what, you probably did it, let's just say that you're a murderer.
Hanase.
まったく、最近の若い連中は礼儀の一つもなってなくて困るよ。本当にバカばっかりだ。そんな口を一般人が警察に聞いていいと思ってんのか。白を切っても無駄だぞ。抵抗しても罪がかさむだけだ。ロストってお前のことだろ。
Oh, I'm sorry. I end up cutting off his conversation. And I don't know how to go, like, I don't know how to go back. Yeah, so basically the police officer tells Akira that he was no longer satisfied with his bluster fighting. So he decided to really actually go out and kill someone.
たかだかストリートファイトで有名になったぐらいでいい気になるなよ。
俺じゃない。
言い訳ならいくらでも気が済むまで書で聞いてやるからな。
Okay. Well, we're making progress.
話せよ。
I think because this isn't an actual licensed copy of the game, that is the reason why the police officer's picture doesn't show up in this area. But it's the same police officer. I'm assuming it's the same police officer who had us by the hair. Yeah, he doesn't care about the corruption or anything, but that's the thing. He won't let anybody oppress him, but nor will he oppress anybody else. But the thing is, he knows better than to, pick a fight with the police. Which I guess is probably like, this game was probably foreshadowing what goes on in America right now. That you have, corrupted officials, you have corrupted police officers who they abuse their power. There's no light way to say it. Oh look, it's my least favorite character.
Okay, 邪魔だ。
Kisuke. Could you just take him with you and lock him up just so that he's like not a factor in the game anymore?
Wait, ちょっと待てよ。
Hit him again! Oh please, for the love of God, please hit him again. I do not like Akira. I mean, I like Akira. I do not like Kisuke. Yay, he hit him again! Do not like you.
てんだろ。アキラが何したんだよ。
うるさい。
I wouldn't be surprised if Kisuke murdered that guy. Can you arrest him for being stupid? Hit him again. Yay! And that was a burp, kids. Sorry, Akira can't help you right now. Please jump off the building. Kisuke. whiny little bitch boy, if there's ever one to be had in a video game. Like, oh my gosh, like, why can't he get ass plowed 7 ways till Sunday? So this final scene is one of my favorites. Like, it's a good, like, it's a hilarious scene. I don't know if you guys are gonna find it hilarious, but in the anime it's funny, and even here it's the detectives, they're hilarious, as we're about to see. Yeah, so Akira says that, you know, before the war, when you'd see, like, you know, interrogation rooms like at a police station, like, when I see this, I think of like the old Dick Tracy type, where they have the suspect in the room and everything, and they're questioning him. Like, it just looks so stereotypical. Is that not a hilarious face? So I take this part it's actually Akira using his military training, where he's, you know, he's very calm, cool, and collective. Oh, wait till you see the next guy. He's funny too.
警部、血圧上がりますから落ち着いて。
Yeah, they say that he just, like, even in the anime, the way they drew him, he just looks very, very sickly.
そうだな。少し落ち着こう。君、カツ丼でも食うか?
Oh my gosh, that does actually sound really good. If it wasn't so, like, you know, late, I would go and have myself like a big bowl of spicy ramen. Yeah, so Akira, he keeps himself very collected and everything, and it's making the captain and the detective, well, the detective, he's completely fine, but it's making the captain guy, it's sending his blood pressure through the roof.
Hey, カツ丼どころじゃないわ。いいから白状しろ、しろ。
Okay, this next part is like, this is the dumbest, it's by far the dumbest thing I've ever read in a video game.
警部。
Well, not that.
それをよこせ。国民番号 11298TM3099 無職、家族構成は父母のみ、3年同居の後に別居、クラスター個人戦優勝経験あり。
Yeah, so they're saying that, you know, after 3 years of living with, it doesn't say explicitly whether they were his foster parents or if they were his biological parents that he was returned to. But after 3 years, he can't live with them anymore. They're not abusive, like I said before, but it's just he's not used to living in like a family environment. So he leaves home and he becomes a blaster fighter and ultimately a undefeated champion.
別居ね。 鬼ババだったとかならともかく優しくていいご夫婦だったそうじゃないか。
He reminds me of, oh my gosh, what was the name of the teacher in Daria, who, when he would get upset, he his eyes would kind of like pop out of his head. Was it Mr. DiMartino? I think it was Mr. DiMartino. Okay, it says that they were his foster parents. Okay. I couldn't remember that part. Because in my playthrough, I am further ahead than this playthrough is. Yeah, so Akira, he's now going to explain that they were just strangers. It wasn't like they were biologically connected or anything, and when you put strangers together, there's like nothing to hold them to make either any one of them stay or to be kind to each other.
犯行推定時刻は午前3時頃。外車の死因は全身打撲による外傷性ショック死。アリバイなし。現場から半径200メートル以内にいた。しかもブラスターの常連ときたら。
So yeah, he's saying that basically the victim he was beaten to death. I was in my apartment, like seriously, like just because like that would be like the cops knocking on my door right now and saying that on the other side of the church that's near your house someone was found dead, and because you can't, you know, account for your whereabouts, that makes you the killer. All your other neighbors can say, oh, I was at Jimbo's house and I was at Bob McBobson's house. Like, really? Fuck you. This guy is hilarious. I want to make that my profile picture one day. And here's the thing, guys, I know that I'm not talking a lot during this playthrough like I normally do with Final Fantasy, but it's because this game actually has voiceovers, and they're actually pretty decent voiceovers by voiceover standards. Like, I've heard really bad ones, but this is one of the better ones. So I know that there's probably stretches of like silence where you're like, is she still there? Like, what's going on? But I'm still here. It's just that, yeah, I just want you guys to get immersed in the story. So here's the most hilarious thing. Because Akira blinks, the the captain, he takes that as a confession that Akira murdered that guy. Oh god, that was so cheesy that it was good. Yeah, so like you can see like the little dents in the desk, like right here, and there's like a big dent right there. Yeah, so yeah, the two little ass hats from earlier, they're back.
さて、快適なお部屋へご案内だ。 お前が住んでたボロい犬小屋より居心地はマシだろうよ。
So now Akira, he's really gonna like tick off the police officers now, but he won't let out a sound because he knows that those two police officers, which he kind of alludes to a little bit, that now that the war is over, the ones that are police officers, they're basically the sadists that are left over. Like they were not, I guess they weren't fit for military service, so the police department was like, oh yeah, we'll take them. Yeah, so basically they start beating Akira.
ほら、さっきの勢いはどうした？泣けよ、泣きわめけよ。
Yeah, like that's where Akira, he realizes that if he even lets out one sigh, that they're probably gonna beat him within an inch of his life. That's the thing. I wonder, did the bug-eyed detective and the little weak one, I wonder, did they leave, or are they just, you know, sitting there watching Akira get the shit beaten out of him? So this is what the jail cells actually look like. So Akira, like while he's laying here, he can hear like a guy basically like crying for his mom and everything, and he basically explains that because of the PTSD, I guess schizophrenia, like there's a lot of mental health problems. So now not only do the jails serve as jails, but they also serve as mental health facilities, but they don't actually do anything to help the people. And Akira remarks that because it's so crisp, clean, and white and reeks of disinfectant, it's driving him mad. I do kind of like this music though. Here, listen to it for a little bit. But yeah, it's a very melancholy tune. Yeah, so basically, at the end of the war, and even during the war, that most crime was, it was attributed to mental illness. And so, yeah, well, he says here that they received like pretty much so mild psychiatric treatment. I could see how that would drive you completely crazy. I remember when I was a teenager, my my dad painted our bathroom like sherbet green, like everything was green. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like the god most awful ugly bathroom in the history of bathrooms. So to get him to paint the bathroom, I told him to go into the bathroom and look at the wall and stay there for 5 minutes just looking at the wall. And then when he came out, I said, now look at this white sheet of paper. Well, because of the way your eyes are, if you do that, the white sheet of paper, it looks red. And next thing I know, my dad was like, yeah, I painted the bathroom, because I told him, like, girls spend a heck of a lot more time in the bathroom than boys do. Cat. Yeah, my cat just, if you guys noticed that on the capture, that went a little bit wonky, it's because my cat Sassy jumped on the keyboard. But what I was saying before is that, yeah, because of that, I told him that girls spend a lot more time in the bathroom, like it was going to mess up like my eyesight, and at that point, I had already started wearing glasses. So I, like, that's the thing, you just don't want to do anything extra that's going to like fuck up your vision. I'm talking to you hippies who look at the sun. Yeah, so the disinfectant smell is so strong. Like, that's the thing. Like, I had a collapsed lung back in 2006, so I spent like 3 days in the hospital and everything. And that disinfectant smell was just absolutely awful. And then the second time that I had a collapsed lung, like, I stayed there even longer. Like, I stayed there, it's like the week before Thanksgiving, and they only released me from the hospital like the day before Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I cannot take this disinfecting smell. Like, it overwhelms you. And I realized that it was because each time I've had a collapsed lung, it's been like during the winter time. So I realized that they were trying to keep down on cold and flu. But seriously, like, would it kill hospitals to have like lemon scented? I mean, or lavender. I mean, lavender calms people down. So wouldn't that be like a better like Lysol scent than like just straight up hospital death? So yeah, this is the scene that I was talking about, where when Akira was, I'm assuming this takes place while he's living at home, but there's a kid yelling at the foster mom that he could never call her mom because they're not biologically related. But once he looked at the kid, he noticed that the woman had been abusing the kid. Yeah, he said, basically he says that, you know, that was the flaw in Japan's plan, that they could put strangers together and expect, you know, people who they may not even have wanted to become foster parents, but they were forced into that situation, it was doomed from the very start. Yeah, so I guess that's when Akira started realizing that the only person that he can rely on is himself. Like, he can't rely on others.
Dero, 面会だ。
Okay, we are going to stop there, and we will find out next week who our mysterious visitor is. But in the meantime, you can watch my playthrough of Final Fantasy VII. You can watch my playthrough of The Sims 3, as well as my Yao version of a short story that I've had in my head for a little while that I'm gonna act out using The Sims. But feel free to drop me a line on Twitter. You can see my Twitter name up here somewhere in the corner. You can also find me, well, if you're watching this on YouTube, of course you can find me here on YouTube, as well on Twitter, not Twitter, what am I talking about? As well as on Twitch. Give me a follow there so you can find out when I am live. Also, like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube page so that you can find out when I upload a new video. And I will see you guys next week.